Good morning, everyone. I'm Bob Silverman, President of the American Foreign Service Association. It is my privilege to speak on behalf of the extended Foreign Affairs family to pay tribute to the men and women of the Foreign Service who have lost their lives while serving our country overseas. This morning, we are very pleased to be joined by several leaders from across the Foreign Affairs community. They include Undersecretary of State Patrick Kennedy, Director General Arnold Chacon, Acting USAID Administrator Alfonso Leonard, and many Assistant Secretaries and other officials who are here with us today. We are deeply grateful for the presence this morning of the families and colleagues of the two members of the Foreign Service whom we honor, David Collins and Reda Nadal. In 1924, our predecessors founded the American Foreign Service Association. 9 years later, in a ceremony like this one, on March 3rd, 1933, members of AFSA unveiled the first memorial plaque in honor of those of their colleagues who had fallen in the line of duty. Today, AFSA memorials stand at both ends of this hall to recognize the women and men of the Foreign Service who have served our country and promoted our values around the world, and in so doing, paid the ultimate sacrifice. Since 1933, AFSA has inscribed the names of 245 Americans on these plaques, and at today's ceremony, we will add the names of two more of our colleagues. Their loss is felt not only by their families and friends, but also by the entire Foreign Affairs community. They remain honored members of that community. To the families and friends of Reda and David who are gathered here, I express our deepest sympathy for your losses and our enduring gratitude for their service. Reda Nadal was a take-charge office management specialist with an infectious personality who organized professional meetings and social gatherings for many of her colleagues in Embassy Moscow. David Collins was an ordained minister who, like so many of us, was on his second career when he joined the Foreign Service. And he served with great distinction as a financial management officer, beloved of his local staff in South Africa and Nigeria. Reda and David are shining examples of the Foreign Service professionalism and dedication. They and their work will be remembered by us and will continue to inspire us as we pass daily by these walls dedicated to them and our other fallen colleagues. Every year on Foreign Affairs Day, we also place a wreath at the plaque at the other end of this hall. It recognizes the fallen family members of the Foreign Service who accompanied their spouses or parents overseas. AFSA established that plaque in the year 2000 in cooperation with the Associates of the American Foreign Service worldwide. You'll also find in this hall a plaque right around the corner honoring the fallen employees of the former U.S. Information Agency. Today, we honor all of those names which are inscribed on these walls. I now ask that you stand as the United States Armed Forces Color Guard presents the colors. Then please remain standing to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I read now the following message from the President. I send greetings to all those observing Foreign Affairs Day 2015 at federal agencies and at embassies, consulates, and missions around the globe. Every day, we wake up to a world that is more secure and more peaceful thanks to dedicated Americans in the U.S. Foreign Service. Serving in posts at home and abroad, you help control the spread of disease, aid those affected by natural disasters, promote high trade and economic standards, defend human rights, and forge a freer, safer, and more prosperous tomorrow for all people. Your tireless work advances the causes of freedom and opportunity, and your devoted service reflects an unwavering commitment to our nation's founding ideals. On Foreign Affairs Day, let us honor the memories of the Foreign Service professionals we have lost. Today, we pay solemn tribute to Reda Nadal, who served all over the world and touched many lives, but who tragically passed away due to injuries from a gas explosion in her Moscow apartment. We salute David Collins, who in a demonstration of love and devotion selflessly gave his life to save his wife from drowning. Their names join the others engraved on the AFSA memorial plaques, and they will remain forever in our hearts as we carry forward their spirit of service. I join Secretary Kerry in honoring all Foreign Service members who made the ultimate sacrifice to uphold the values we share, and expressing my sincere appreciation to those in the diplomatic service and their families for striving to safeguard the promise of a brighter future for all. Barack Obama, April 30th, 2015. It is now my honor to ask Undersecretary of State Patrick Kennedy to the podium.
Good morning, all. On behalf of Secretary Kerry, who is traveling in South Asia, welcome to the Department of State on this occasion. Each year, as we gather to honor our Foreign Service colleagues who died abroad while serving, there is sadness in remembering those lost too soon, but we also appreciate the opportunity to share our fond memories of them. Today, we honor David Collins, who is serving at our Consulate General in Lagos, Nigeria, and Reda Nadal, who is serving at our embassy in Moscow. On behalf of the entire department, I extend deepest condolences to the Collins and Nadal families. The death of these two remarkable individuals highlight the everyday dangers that Foreign Service personnel and their families face when living overseas. But their lives, their character, their ideals, and their joy touch all they serve with and highlight the best of the Foreign Service. David Collins was a man of faith and principle, whose strength was his family. Dave was on his second Foreign Service assignment, having served previously in Pretoria, South Africa. He died on April 28, 2013, after saving his wife from drowning. Dave leaves behind his parents, Bernard and Janice Collins, his wife of 31 years, Donna, two daughters, Dina and Danielle, two sons, Danielle and David, and their granddaughter he never met, Eloise, all of whom are with us today. Dave joined the Foreign Service in 2009 after a long career with the Assemblies of God, first as a youth minister in Illinois, then as a business administrator, ending with a church assignment in Brussels. Dave's wife, Donna, believes that Dave's happiest years working were his years with the department. He felt that he was finally on the road he was meant to be on. He felt he truly was making a difference as he served his God and his country. He chose a very tough assignment in Nigeria for his second Foreign Service post, serving as financial management officer, and then asked to extend an additional year. He was known and loved by his colleagues, who referred to him as Straight Dave, because he was so straight in his professional life, but also because of his luck in drawing a winning hand in poker. On May 2nd, 2014, hundreds of Americans and Nigerian colleagues and friends and neighbors gathered for his memorial in Lagos, a testament to how beloved he was by all who knew him. Dave's colleague from Lagos, Anne Maria Capuno, wrote, "Dave was a humble, honest, kind-hearted, sincere, funny, quick to smile, amicable, intelligent man of faith, and a devoted husband and father, an integral member and highly valued member of our closely knit community on both a personal and professional level. Our friend and colleague Ronald Reinhard wrote, "While it was easy to credit Dave's relentless attention to detail and logical approach to problem solving as the elements that made him an exceptional financial management officer, what really made him special was that he always remembered that there were people involved in the process. Rules were important, which can be an unusual attitude in a place as chaotic as Nigeria, but so were people, which can be an unusual attitude in a finance specialist." According to Consul General Jeffrey Hawkins, Dave's staff saw him not just as a boss and a supervisor, but as a leader, and they felt his loss greatly. Shortly after his death, his staff spoke of the office reorganization Dave had recently carried out, reconfiguring the office space. "We moved our desk to face him, and he is no longer there to lead us," staff members said. As one of Dave's friends wrote, "The Collins family all seemed just about perfect together, perfect for each other, which is even better." And his family was at the heart of the consulate community, with Donna serving as a community liaison officer, daughter Deanna working in the consular section, and son David attending the American school. As Donna tells us, Dave's adult children, Daniel and Danelle, called him often for guidance, and not just when preparing their income taxes, but also on personal matters. When Danielle asked for advice on a going-home outfit for her first baby, a little girl, Dave spent days online choosing just the right dress and then shoes, socks, and a special headband to go with the outfit, and he had it mailed to her home. Dave never got to meet his Eloise, but she wore that dress home from the hospital. Dave was a deeply protected, loving husband who built a lasting marriage over 3 decades. Dave's action on that fateful day 2 years ago, a day that was described by his Lagos friend and colleague Jay Sorensen as a really good day, right up until it wasn't, left no doubt of his devotion. When Dave saw Donna caught in a series of riptides off the coast of Snake Island, Nigeria, unable to save herself, he rushed in, and in an instant, the hopes and dreams and his vast potential for the Foreign Service and that of a selfless human being were gone. His dear friend John Gutke, who was with him when he passed, writes, "He was an absolutely honest without being judgmental. He was selfless and progressive. He advocated fearlessly for good in the face of nonsense and apathy. He laughed easily, loved without expectation, and empathized universally." One of Dave's favorite quotes was, "We judge others by their actions and ourselves by our intentions." And thus, in his final selfless act, Dave put his faith in God and his family first. Today, we also pay tribute to Rita Nadal, a beloved daughter, sister, and colleague who brought confidence, compassion, and fun to all her endeavors. Rita died on May 26, 2014, as a result of injuries sustained from a gas explosion in her apartment in Moscow, where she was an office management specialist in the embassy's Office of Engineering Services. Rita leaves behind her parents, Rita and Jimmy, who are with us today, as well as her sister Lisa and other family members. Myrta Brown, Rita's colleague in Kabul, remembers Rita as a smart, caring, and funny person. Smart because she found a way to resolve issues that made sense and everyone agreed upon. Caring because when she knew someone needed help, she would be there to lend a hand. And funny because she knew how to make a dreary day a sunny one with her jokes and a smile. Rita's mother tells that the reading was Rita's passion, and by the time she got to Moscow, she had more than 1,000 volumes. This passion for books then became a challenge in Kabul when people lived in metal shipping containers. When her colleagues tried to convince her to download ebooks, she looked at me as though I had a bad word coming out of my mouth. She passionately said, "I like to feel the pages and smell the books I read. You can't do that with a Kindle." Rita also worked in the Office of Protocol. Former Chief of Protocol Ambassador Capricia Marshall, who joins us today, remembers Rita as the smile who greeted you every day, magic with flair, and a wonderful zest for life sprinkled over everyone she came in contact with. Rita truly believed that cultural diplomacy could make a significant difference in our bilateral matters, Ambassador Marshall remembered. Rachel Salerno, Rita's colleague in the protocol office, spoke of Rita's competence and compassion. She was the kind of person you hope to have as a colleague in every office, determined, loyal, detailed, and good-humored. She would make sure all briefing materials were prepared and logistics arranged to a T for the ambassador's next day. Not only was Rita precise, but she brought a level of joy and compassion to the office, whether it was with candy or a friendly birthday hug. Rita was a confidant of many and a supporter of all. Rita was Embassy Moscow's designated social sponsor for Colette Bergeron, who was embarking on her first overseas post in Moscow. Colette remembers Rita as one of the best representatives the Foreign Service could offer. She made sure that my first impression of Moscow and the embassy community was of a welcoming place I would be happy to call home for the next 2 years. Moscow colleague Jason Haskins remembers her helping a friend decorate for a Halloween bash and giving everyone in the office a personalized shot glass, vodka, for Christmas. Rita also had a serious side, encouraging friends to give up something for Lent. Rita's foregone pleasure were potatoes, a staple in Moscow. Locally engaged staff are an important part of our Foreign Service family, and according to Embassy NASA staff employee Deanna Nelson, Rita was active in the community and made all the Foreign Service nationals, like myself, feel a part of the community and her family. Mrs. Nadal remembers her daughter, Redita, as living life to the fullest. She didn't waste a day. At the memorial service held for Rita in the Embassy Moscow, colleague Kimberly Austin shared an excerpt from an email Rita sent to the ladies' brunch group she initiated in Moscow. Hello, darlings. We have all seen the Vodka Museum and the Beer Museum and the Pushkin Museum, all the usual suspects. But don't you want to see more? Don't you want to see things that others haven't? And that isn't a well-worn path. Don't you want to live a little? Rita certainly did live a lot in a very short time. At this time, I will ask AFSA President Bob Silverman to unveil the names. David E. Collins, Rita Nadal. I'd ask now if everyone would please rise for a moment of silence. Thank you all very much for being here today to honor our colleagues.
Well, thank you very much for coming today. Please remain in your seats a few more minutes while we have official photos for each of the families with Undersecretary Kennedy. Thank you. Please sit. You come forward, the Collins. Oh, wait. Excuse me, sorry. Before we do that, we're going to do the wreath. Sorry. And please remain standing as the color guard retires the colors. Thank you.